Apple just announced the iPhone 16 and iPhone 16 Plus, and I had the chance to try them out. One of the biggest differences that we're seeing on this year's new basic iPhones are the addition of two new buttons. One is called Camera Control. You can use it to launch the camera and control the camera, and it's a lot of fun to play around with. The second one will seem familiar to a lot of you who have followed the iPhone in recent years, and it's called the Action button. It was previously exclusive to the Pro, and now it's also available on the base models with the iPhone 16 lineup. So taken together, I think both of these changes, the introduction of two new buttons, is going to make the iPhone a bit easier and more personal to use. So first, let's dive into that new Camera Control, which is a kind of capacitive button. It's not so much a button as it is a little sensor on the phone, and you can press it to launch the camera, and then depending on how much you press it in and how you swipe on it, you can access different settings, switch between different shooting modes, and also switch between photo and video. I think it's going to be a really great addition for people who take a lot of photos with their iPhone and don't want to necessarily have their finger obscuring the screen when they're trying to zoom or switch between different shooting modes and things like that. And it's also interesting to see Apple add this now, because the camera has been a big part of the iPhone for years, especially on the Pro models. So it's interesting that we're seeing a change like this come now after all these years. The Action button also is a really interesting addition. I've been using it a lot on the iPhone 15 Pro, and I find it really useful for just even basic everyday tasks like using it as a speed dial button or using it as a silent alarm switch. But you can also program it to do really specific things. Like I like to use mine to order coffee actually, which is really interesting. So aside from those new things, the iPhone 16 looks pretty similar to the iPhone 15. There are some new color options which are really cool to check out. I really like the new green option. There's also a pink option and a few other colors. Apple does tend to add these like fun, bright colors for the standard iPhone, and then the Pro models are usually a bit more muted, so we're seeing that once again this year. The iPhone 16 also runs on Apple's new A18 chip, which should provide better performance, especially for Apple Intelligence, which again, Apple is really touting these new phones as being the first phones built for Apple Intelligence from the ground up, but we really won't get a full picture of what that looks like for a while, because Apple Intelligence is rolling out in phases. There's going to be one batch of features that comes out next month, and then another batch that comes out later on, so TBD on that. But one feature that I am really interested in and I'm really looking forward to trying out is called Visual Intelligence. So the idea is that you can use this camera control sensor to quickly launch the camera, and then you'd be able to point your iPhone's camera at something to learn more about it. So let's say you walk by a restaurant and you want to know more about it, like its hours and things like that, you would be able to just quickly launch the camera, point your phone at the thing, and find out that kind of information. So this is interesting, and these are the kinds of AI features that I find most useful on phones. Apple is just one of many companies that are trying to make our phones easier to use with features like this that leverage AI within the operating system itself rather than just, through apps and things like that. So I'm really excited to check that out, but unfortunately it's not going to be available at launch, so we'll have to wait. And another major change is battery life. So the iPhone 16 has a bigger battery. We don't know exactly how much bigger, but that combined with the power efficiency in iOS 18 and the new processor should lead to longer battery life. But of course, we'll know more when we have time to test it. So that's what's new with the iPhone 16. We look forward to learning more as we review these phones and test them out. So be sure to keep watching CNET for more updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.